Oop. So, if you got your Saber, go ahead and snag it. If you don't have a Saber, you want to practice with a stick, this is one of the instances where I'm going to say a stick is just fine. Sticks are always just fine. It's just that lightsabers are better. So yeah, grab a stick. You can also just anything that is generically sword shaped. And so like an umbrella will work, all kinds of other stuff. All right, we're gonna start with our warm up. And so we're gonna put one foot in front of the other, right hand on top, left hand on the bottom for right now. If you are a lefty, switch them and then put your left foot forward. Okay? And so we're gonna lift and then come down to parallel. We're gonna do 10 of those. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm using a vertical line, it's a door frame across the room there, to track my cut as it goes, because I want to have as straight a cut as possible. 6. See how that one kind of did this on me? 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Anybody that's just joining me, 10:30 a.m. Fridays Eastern Time, we do a lightsaber class for about a half hour. All right, next. Before we do the stop, I'll do one hand. All right, so. KB, good to see you. Yeah. Whichever hand's your bottom hand. So for me, it's going to be my left, but for you, whichever one it is. You take the bottom, put it inside your fist. Okay? And so the way that I usually do this is I start to make a fist. Like I curl the pinky in, and then I set the bottom of the saber on top of my pinky. And then that helps me get this inside my fist. But you can do it other ways, but that was the way that I was originally taught, so it's kind of my default. And so I want to go from parallel to up, back down to parallel. We're going to do 10 of those. Ready? 1. Make sure you're keeping your shoulder relaxed. As the hands go up, my shoulder blade goes down. 2, 3, and I want to pause on the down. I don't want to bounce out of it. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we switch. Thank you everybody for liking. So, Luke, I don't know. I really don't. I'm still really, really torn about my Pat's feelings, and we can talk about that later. Like, there's guys on the team that I like. I like the head coach, but the 2016 just like really messed me up. Now we got right hand. Come up. 1, 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Everybody that's sliding in, thank you so much. We have about another 23 minutes of class. Man, this is the busiest I think we've been. Thank you, everybody. All right. Now, we worked a little bit of the footwork last time, and so thank you for joining. And so I'm going to go through that again for anybody that missed it. I realized actually this morning that I forgot to post last week's lesson into YouTube. So everybody that's been waiting on that, I'm sorry, I'll get that done today. Now, for the feet, okay? And so there are two footworks we're gonna work on first. And the first one is the shuffle. And so for the shuffle, I want you to, let me see, move you so you can see. There we go. All right, so you can kind of see the seam on the floor here. And what I want to do is have my heels line up so that my feet are on the same line or pretty close to it. If they're a little bit outside of that, that's okay. But I don't want to be really wide because then I can't move the way I need to. And so I have my feet kind of on a balance beam. And then what you're going to want to do is lift up the high guard so you have your shoulder blades sliding down your body. And then we're going to start with the shuffle step. And so for the shuffle step, the back foot comes up, front foot goes out, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, good. Out of print GM, good to see you, homie. Check to see if, yeah, no other comments I missed, all right. Now we're going back. So for the back, your front foot slides in, your back foot slides out. KB, thank you. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm shuffling a little louder than normal since you couldn't see my feet. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. And now, with the shuffle step, things you want to pay attention to. You don't want your head to go up and down too much. And so you want your head to stay pretty level as you go forward and back. And part of the key to that is actually make sure your knees are bent enough. It is all kendo footwork. And if we were doing like any kind of Philippine stuff, there's a lot of the footwork is functionally the same as well. So most weapon footwork ends up being really similar. And the way that the geometry changes is basically based on how long the weapon is and if there's a scoring system and all that kind of stuff. Akil, good to see you, buddy. All right, now next we got the pull step, okay? And so the pull step is kind of the opposite of the shuffle step. They're kind of like siblings, okay? And so if I'm going this way with my shuffle step, the back foot slides up, the front foot steps out. For the pull step, I'm gonna start with the front foot going forward, and it's really similar to lunge footwork from fencing. And so my front foot is gonna go out, I'm gonna grab new ground, and then I'm gonna pull myself up to it. So that front leg goes out, and then the back leg gets pulled back up. So that's why we call this one the pull step, okay? And so that front foot goes out, back leg catches up, all right? One of the things as you're doing this, you want your front foot, the heel is going to be reaching out and forward. So it's not the way, like when you run, you don't want your heel going out in front of you because then you shorten your leg, okay? But for the pull step, you want the heel to go out in front of you because the moment where the heel touches, then the front part of your foot comes down, you kind of grab the ground and pull yourself to it because you want to be able to change direction. You don't want to get stuck and locked into one direction of motion when the other person has something they could kill you with if they get to touch you, okay? And so, front foot, I'm gonna lift my toes as I step and then the back leg, I'm gonna have my toes pointed out to the side. Now I normally have them at like a 45-degree angle. Some people are more comfortable having them more like square to the sidewall or whatever. But what I'm gonna do is that back leg lifts and tucks in, okay? And so that is our pull step. Ryan, good to see you. So here we go. Coming forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Backward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And when you're going backwards, you can't heel toe because your legs don't work that way. And so when you're going backwards, the plant foot is the back foot that's reaching out, planting, and then pulling the front foot to it. And so going backwards, you're actually going to plant with the front part of your foot. And then as the heel comes down, it pulls you back. And if you think about how you walk, when you walk forward, you walk heel toe. When you walk backwards, it's fine. When you walk backwards, you walk toe heel. So when I walk forwards, as my foot goes out, I walk heel toe, and that's how I go from one step to the next step. And then going backwards, walking is toe heel. And so my weapon footwork is the same. Heel toe going forward, toe heel going backward. Okay? And so that is our pull step and our shuffle step. Now, we're going to go this way, and I'm going to not spill my coffee. No, I didn't get it in frame. Hold on. Okay. So, if you kind of see the asterisk on the ground, if you imagine the directions that you can go in, okay, are going to kind of follow the way that those lines work. The next step we're going to do is called the swing step. Okay. KB, thank you. All right. And Watson, that's all right. Now, I'm going to use some Eskrima sticks to make the top half of the Dos Equis. In this case, Dos Equis is not a beer. It is the word for the shape that you work your footwork in Philippine martial arts. And so what we're going to do is you have two triangles next to each other. All right, and so from your perspective, it looks like a W. From my perspective, it looks like an M. And now this'll, if you've ever studied in Wing Chun, there is a triangle diagram that you'll put on the ground, and it uses a bunch of the same distances that this uses kind of for the same reason, because you want it to be pretty close to shoulder width or thereabouts. So a little bit more than shoulder width is fine, a little bit less than shoulder width is fine. And so in Wing Chun, the triangle ends up using a lot of the same geometry. But so this is my half. If we double this so that there is the other person on the other side, then there's a diamond in the center, and there's these lines coming off the sides. And what happens is it ends up looking like two X's that are next to each other touching. And so for the swing step, what we're going to do is if I start here on the top of the triangle, I step into this part, and then I swing to the other side, okay? And so for the swing step, we're gonna leave out the middle. This is where we start, but the way the swing step is gonna work is I step to this point in this triangle, and then I swing, and then when I go the other way, I step to the other point in the other triangle, and then I swing, okay? Swing, swing, all right? So, with our saber for the swing step, is what we're going to do. So you want to lift, and this is so that we're conditioning our shoulders as we do our feet. Okay? If I have one shoulder, you can't see that very well. Let's lift you guys up just a little bit. And so I want to practice having this up so that I'm conditioning my back and my core muscles to hold up the weapon. I don't want my shoulder to hold up the weapon. I want my shoulder blade to slide down my spine so that the muscles in my back are holding the weapon and my legs are stabilizing me. I want to put all my weight on my core, put my core on top of my legs. Okay? And so for our swing step, we're up here, and I can start feet together, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to step, swing, and then I'm going to step. And so now I'm sort of feet are about shoulder width. Swing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we've got one other footwork, and then we'll have most of the footwork. We're leaving out turning, but we've got one other footwork we're going to add, and then we'll be sort of done with footwork for this module for what I've got planned. Okay. And so far, the only strike we've worried about has been the overhead and the high guard. And then we've got the shuffle step, the pull step, and then we just went over the swing step. Okay. Now, anyone that's joining us late, if you find yourself wanting, oh no, enjoy your donut, man, especially if it's from Dunkin'. I do not have my Dunkies. I had to make do with 7-Eleven. But it still tastes like coffee, so it's all right. Yeah. Last footwork is the step through, and then we got like 10 minutes, so I'll be able to use that to add footwork and strikes together. So it's the sticks are just to kind of give you an extra visual guide, because since I'm presenting to you on a 2-dimensional screen with a single perspective camera, it makes it hard for your brain to figure out spacing. And so it's you don't need to put sticks down, you don't need to put painter's tape down. If you find yourself wanting to, then what you do is you use the length of the blade of your weapon, and that's what you set down to make the 2 triangles next to each other. And if you're practicing with a partner, then you both start in the middle, and one of you's leading, one of you's following, and one of you takes the step, and the other person has to take the counter step to go to the other side. And so if I'm here and you're standing there, as I go to my right, you go to yours. And I might pause on that spot before I move. And every time I step, you have to take a counter step. Kathleen, you made it! So that you can, start to kind of read the way that somebody's moving while you're doing your moving, and it helps you disguise a whole bunch of practice if you're being reactive. All right. So now, footwork with strikes. And then that's going to set us up so that next week I can start building out your toolbox with some more strikes in it. Because if you learn a bunch of strikes and no footwork, very hard to be useful. If you have something to whack, it's fun. But if you're going to do any kind of application, it's really, really hard to be useful without footwork. Fewer strikes and more footwork is a better balance as a beginner than more footwork, or more strikes, fewer footwork. So we have our shuffle. And so for the shuffle, as I step out, boom, that's where I would strike. I lift up, shuffle, strike. Lift up, shuffle, strike. And so starting next week, husband's count, but I would recommend taking a pool noodle and putting it over the blade before you really, really let it go. Will, that is why I'm starting to do these lives. And this is going to get posted to YouTube so that if you missed the last 2 sessions, or you want reminders through the week on what you should focus on, stuff like that, then you can bring it up, and it'll be like a 20-30 minute YouTube of class. All right. So everybody if this is your 3rd session, you should be at the point now where when you practice, instead of being still when you do your overhead cuts, add the footwork in, because that lets you be just a little bit more efficient with your reps. If you want to be really completionist, oh, Will, I love it. That's great. Yes, Kathleen, I want you to be nice to John. He has a good hat. So, if you want to be like really, really completionist, then it's like, okay, I do my 10 of these. I do my 10 of these. I do my 10 of these. And now I'm going to do 10 going forward. And then I'm going to do 10 going backward. And then I'm going to do 10 with the pull step. And then I do 10 with the pull step backwards. And then I'm going to do 10 with the swing step. And then you can make this take as much time as you need for the type of workout you need to have. Okay? And depending on what type of conditioning you want to do, if you're trying to get a little bit more cardio, use a weapon that's lighter so that you can move faster. If you're trying to get a little bit more like core strengthening development and that kind of stuff, then use something that's a little heavier. Make sure you really emphasize the hold on the up, and bend your knees a little bit more as you're doing all the footwork, so that that upper part of your quad, whatever muscle that is up here, because your quad's down a little bit lower, but whichever one that is up in there. So it's got to work just a little bit harder for your stability. Okay, but we're going to add our last footwork, and so this is the step through. And so for the step through, you're going to step through. You switch which foot's forward. Okay, so we start in this same spot where I am on the balance beam, right? And then I'm going to step through. The back leg is going to step through, and it becomes a pull step. Okay? And so you have to learn the pull step before you learn the step through, because it's basically how to take your back foot and turn it into a pull step to get just a little bit of extra reach, or take your pull step and turn it into or the step the other one. You know what I'm talking about. So my back leg is going to go through. Okay? Back leg goes through. Back leg goes through. And right now we're doing this on a line. But you can take this same thing and add the swing step to it as well. That's the step through. Okay? And so there's our 4 footworks. Those are the 4 most important ones. The shuffle, the pull, the swing step, and the step through. So most of what we're going to end up doing, that's what we're going to use. All right? So let's add the strikes with all those feet. I'm going to be at a little bit of an angle so that you get some depth perception. Before we do these reps, does anybody have any questions? All right, here we go. Final 5 minutes of class. Let's finish strong. So I'm going to do 5 shuffles forward, 5 shuffles back. So I lift, shuffle, overhead strike. Okay? I'm going to have to start back away farther. Hold on. Here we go. All right, everybody ready? Lift, shuffle, 1. Lift, shuffle, 2. Lift, shuffle, 3. Lift, shuffle, 4. I'm about to go out of frame, it's okay. Lift, shuffle, 5. Now going backwards, same thing. So we're going to lift. Front leg pulls in, back leg steps out, strike down. Lift, shuffle, strike. Lift, shuffle. That's 3. Lift, shuffle, 4. Lift, shuffle, 5. Remember, one of the things we're working on is trying to stop parallel to the floor. Because if you're always overextending, it's going to be really rough on your tendons, and it's not going to help you strengthen your muscles. Pull step, same thing. I'm just going to come straight forward so I don't run out of space this time. Ready? 1. Lift. 2. Lift. 3. Lift. 4. Lift. 5. Going back. Lift. 6. Lift. 7. Lift. 8. lift, 9, lift, 10. Got it. Now, I've got a giant empty room. So it's really easy for me to do, if I don't have to worry about staying in camera, I can do 10 in both directions. Odds are you don't have more space than being able to do like 2. And now that we're gonna get to the step through, you're probably only gonna have enough space to do like 1, and that's okay. Okay? And you could just go back and forth with it, and that's all right. It's good when you're doing the step through if you make sure that you switch feet so that each foot gets a turn, okay? And now, everybody that is, especially if you're focused on like fitness, we just did everything right-handed. Everything we just did right-handed, do it left, right? And so where you would have had your right foot forward, now you put your left foot forward, like this. Step through. Ready? Step through, strike. Lift, step through, strike. All right? So you're gonna take up a lot more room as you're doing these. And when you have your right hand on top and your left foot forward, it's probably gonna feel a little weird. Papa Paul, glad to help. All right? So, step through, lift, step through, 1. Lift, step through, 2. Lift, step through, 3. Lift, step through, 4. I didn't want to bonk the phone too hard. But obviously I covered a whole lot more ground with this one than I have with the previous footworks. Now lift, step through, 1. Lift, step through, 2. Lift, step through, 3. Lift, step through, 4. Okay, I've got space. I'm going to do one more back and one more forward. Okay. So that is everything that we are going to work on today in class. Next week we're going to add some more. Does anybody have questions? Amber, it's good to see you. So it's 10:30 a.m. Fridays, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Okay, and then normally the YouTube goes up on Sunday. I messed up last week and completely forgot. The dojo heater broke last week, and it caused a little bit of challenge. All right, now everybody that's got to operate, like, because I've got 10-foot ceilings here, I think, maybe 11. So everybody that does not have the advantage of giant empty space, right? Then you figure out how to train in the space that you have, okay? And so that could mean you use just your blade. And so you take it off of the handle and you use just that. That could mean that you use just the handle, because the handle typically has a little bit more weight to it if part of what you're doing is kind of working on the fitness stuff, right? But so do what's right for you. It could also mean order another blade and chop it down so that you're using something shorter, like this. Probably notice is a little shorter than the other Saber I was just using. This is my kid's Saber. And so I can work all the same stuff with like 1.5 feet less reach so that my ceiling fans will be grateful. Just please think of your ceiling fans, okay? That one didn't break because of me. That one's not my fault. All right. I've got some other stuff I've got to do to prepare for Snowpocalypse. So this will be the end of what goes into the YouTube. Does anybody have lightsaber related questions while I'm live, while we're here? We got about a dozen folks in here. And so yeah, and so one of the things that we learned in the dojo is that ceiling fans sounded like a really good idea to the contractor that helped us do a bunch of stuff. But they are significantly more in the way than wall fans. And so we have wall fans now because they don't get hit anywhere near as much, and they are just as efficient as kind of getting the air moving and all that stuff. Grimothy, I appreciate you stopping in. Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me for class. Next week, same lightsaber time, same lightsaber channel. Thank you, everybody. I was really worried that this was going to flop, and it's been really exciting to consistently see, a handful of people in to practice and do everything with us, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Kenny, thank you for being like the first. Like Kenny is patient zero on this in many, many ways, and so I'm really glad this is working out, because I was worried that this was just going to fall on its face, and this feels really nice. So thank you, everybody.